Three poems by Amy Levy and bisexual in the Victorian era, with unintentional commentary by Glitterfalling, Infinite Glitterfall on YouTube and TikTok. To Sylvia by Amy Levy, 1884. O love, lean thou thy cheek to mine, and let the tears together flow. Such was the song you sang to me once long ago. Such was the song you sang, and yet, oh, be not wroth. I scarcely knew what sounds flowed forth. I only felt that you were you. I scarcely knew your hair was gold, nor of the heaven's own blue your eyes. Sylvia and song, divinely mixed, made paradise. These things I scarcely knew. Today, as in a picture, I behold your turned up chin and small sweet head, misty with gold. I see how your dear eyes grew deep, how your lithe body thrilled and swayed, and how were whiter than the keys your hands that played. Ah, sweetest, cruel have you been, and robbed my life of many things. I will not chide. Ere this I knew that love had wings. You've robbed my life of many things, of love and hope, of fame and power. So be it, sweet. You cannot steal one golden hour. From her collection, A Minor Poet and Other Verse. Sinfonia Eroica, to Sylvia. My love, it was a day in June, a mellow, drowsy, golden afternoon, and all the eager people thronging came to that great hall, drawn by the magic name of one, a high magician, who can raise the spirits of the past and future days, and draw the dreams from out the secret breast, giving them life and shape. I, with the rest, sat there athirst, a tremble for the sound. And as my aimless glances wandered round, far off, across the hushed, expectant throng, I saw your face that faced mine. Clear and strong rushed forth the sound, a mighty mountain stream. Across the clustering heads mine eyes did seem by subtle forces drawn your eyes to meet. Then you, the melody, the summer heat, mingled in all my blood and made it wine. Straight I forgot the world's great woe and mine. My spirit's murky lead grew molten fire. Despair itself was rapture. Ever higher, stronger, and clearer rose the mighty strain. Then sudden fell. Then all was still again, and I sank back, quivering as one in pain. Brief was the pause. Then, mid a hush profound, slow on the waiting air swelled forth a sound so wondrous sweet that each man held his breath. A measured, mystic melody of death. Then back you leaned your head, and I could note the upward outline of your perfect throat. And ever as the music smote the air, mine eyes from far held fast your body fair. And in that wondrous moment seemed to fade my life's great woe, and grow an empty shade which had not been, nor was not. And I knew not which was sound, and which, O love, was you. Both of these poems were published in the same 1884 chapbook. Originally, they appeared in the opposite order. I've chosen to put them in reverse order such that the heartbreak appears first, partly because that's the order in which I first discovered and read them at the Victorian Queer Archive, vqa.dickinson.edu, partly because I feel like it gives a more interesting and perhaps accurate feel to present both of them as the poet looking back over her relationship later. Sinfonia Eroica, by the way, literally means heroic symphony, but it refers to a symphony by Beethoven. His third symphony, the Eroica, was named as a sort of admiring shout-out to Napoleon. It was long and challenging instead of entertaining. It got a lot of criticism at first for not being fun and aesthetic, but it marked a turning point in musical history. It was called horribly long and difficult by its first audiences in 1805. Over time, though, it became the beginning of a shift in what people expected a symphony to be and to do. This was what Beethoven was working on as he became deaf. He struggled deeply with becoming a deaf musician. His desire, his need to get his ideas about music out into the world were what kept him from ending his life. These complex new ideas about music began to play out, literally, in the Eroica. It demanded more of both its performers and its listeners than any similar type of work had. In doing so, it gave the world something that seemed difficult, too difficult at first to be worth living through, but which rewarded musicians and listeners in wonderful, unexpected ways when they stuck with it. Amy Levy was writing almost 80 years later, well after the idea of a huge, challenging, exciting, and daunting symphony had become a normal thing. But the metaphor still works. What is more challenging, huge, daunting, or exciting than our close relationships? Anyway, my point is, it does not mean erotic. There's one more poem, don't go yet. New Love, New Life. 1. She who so long has lain stone stiff with folded wings, within my heart again the brown bird wakes and sings. Brown nightingale whose strain is heard by day, by night. She sings of joy and pain, of sorrow and delight. 2. 'Tis true, in other days have I unbarred the door. He knows the walks and ways. Love has been here before. Love blessed and love accursed was here in days long past. This time is not the first, but this time is the last. Amy was right, but in a very sad way. She met writer Vernon Lee in 1886 and sent her many declarations of love, including this poem. Vernon, though, was not in love with Amy. She had been with Mary Robinson for about 6 years and pitied Amy a little. 2 years later, Vernon would go on to steal the title of this poem to label her bundle of letters from her new girlfriend, Kit Thompson. All of these people were queer writers with fascinating work and lives, but right here and now I must focus on Amy Levy. I want you to know that Oscar Wilde published dozens of her poems in his magazine, The Woman's World, and called her a girl of genius. I want you to know that she published her first collection of poetry while she was in college, that she was the first Jewish student at Newnham, a women's college within Cambridge University, that the first Jewish man to attend Cambridge had enrolled in 1858, just 3 years before Amy was born. I want to tell you that she had her first poem published in a feminist journal when she was 14. That when she was 13, she won a prize at school for her essay about Elizabeth Barrett Browning's proto-feminist epic, Aurora Leigh, and it was published in a children's magazine called Kind Words. That she wrote 3 books of poetry, 3 fascinating and very progressive novels, and many brilliant short stories and articles. That she was extremely hard on herself and, like many of us, never understood the true worth of her writing, much less of herself. That she wrote a piece called Jewish Women and Women's Rights in 1879. That later she wrote articles about Jewish humor, middle-class Jewish women of today, and the Jew in fiction, which called out Dickens, Eliot, and others for their anti-Semitic tropes. That she was in a co-ed socialist debate club in college, and went on to be friends with women socialists like Karl Marx's daughter Eleanor Marx and Beatrix freaking Potter. That she wrote a short story in 1884 called Socratics in the Strand about feeling despondent and suicidal. It was published in the Cambridge Review. That, like Beethoven, she began losing her hearing. Like him, she had many chronic illnesses, painful neuralgia, including abscesses and eye infections, as well as depression. Unlike him, she endured the intense marginalization for being a woman, for being Jewish, and for being bisexual. That, like many of us, she was plagued by depression. And so, perhaps, we might understand how, unlike him, she was unable to keep living purely on the drive to express her brilliant ideas. Amy Levy committed suicide just before she turned 28. Oscar Wilde wrote an obituary of her that shows his true judgment of her worth. He said, in part, Miss Levy's novels, The Romance of a Shop and Reuben Sachs, were both published last year. The first is a bright and clever story full of sparkling touches. The second is a novel that probably no other writer could have produced. Its directness, its uncompromising truths, its depth of feeling, and above all, its absence of any single superfluous word make it in some sort a classic. To write thus at 26 years old is given to very few. Reader, or in this case viewer, remember this. You do not have to be a genius to deserve to live happily. And if you are at all like Amy Levy, or like most of us, you would not realize it if you were a genius. You cannot truly know what you're gifting to the world, to those around you. If you're like her, or like me, queer, Jewish, mentally ill, or marginalized in some other way, think how much it means to you just to know that someone like you lived in open and everyday ways so long ago. Your life is worth an incredible amount to so many people. If you can live on that for long enough, you can be like Beethoven, living through the worst bits and finding the joyful part. I promise.